I do believe, and haven't seen a concept to really move me away from this yet, is that policy is still, setting the rules of the game is still government's job, okay? And government can't abdicate from that. We do see in some cases that government doesn't always do a good job of it, or they look after something quite narrowly. And one of the things we've said about health systems for a long time, and whether you call it governance or stewardship, that is of the whole sector and the whole system, not just the government system, but really the wider playing, the whole playing field. So I think that's very important. And in a sense, what, this idea of public and private cooperation still has to be driven by some sort of objectives, right? And so it's not, collaboration is not per se an objective, it's a means to an end. Where I think it can work more effectively is that where government is clear on where things are going, what the objectives are, what we're trying to achieve. Within that, you can have the space, and sometimes it's a big space for private actors, particularly on service delivery, or you can get them, buying into the marketing of policies or things like that. Where government is not clear, you can get chaos, and whether that's hundreds of different, little health insurance schemes or an inability to manage across health programs, I think that's where the problems arise. So this is, again, another area where we need to, what I would say, I guess, is, again, perhaps very technocratic as a response, is one of the critical things we have to do is get the question right. In other words, we have a lot of techniques as researchers and economists about things, and we're ready to apply those techniques, but if we apply them to the wrong question, right? And this came up today, is it about making a program sustainable or making effective coverage of priority services sustainable? That's a different issue. What that implies for how we think about service delivery might be different as well. So getting that question right, and then getting the unit of analysis right is also important, which is to say that whether it's a health insurance scheme or health program, the question for UHC is not whether the beneficiaries of that program or the members of that scheme are better off, but rather embedding those programs and schemes in the wider system, right? To say, to what extent are they contributing to greater equity in service use, to greater quality, to greater financial protection across the population? So this is really, I think, one of the things both researchers, and I'm not a researcher, but trying to guide that a bit, is to say, let's really make sure we have the question right, and we want to then put our research tools at the service of the right question rather than at the service of the wrong question.